Welcome to Coast, and happy Easter Monday for all the Eagles fans out there. Great to have your company. Steve Bandy, joined by AFL.com.au reporter Nathan Schmook to have a little bit of a chat about the Good Friday game against the Bombers that does seem an eternity and many eggs ago. How are you today, Nath?
Mate, many eggs ago. I've been filling up, but it does seem like a long time ago, doesn't it? But much more enjoyable game from an Eagles perspective.
Of course, but I mean, that's your ultimate mixed emotions type result from the Friday night being there. You've got your fans and coaches who are just so proud of the players' response. After brutal recent performances, the intensity and the pressure around the ball from the get-go was so evident, just a lightning start. And when Cripper snaps his goal in the second term, we are just on. It's 29 points. It's looking unreal. Then they start to reel us back. Peter Wright, how's your inclusion going for your first game of 2025, Nath? Pretty important.
6 goals coming in. It was a massive performance from Peter Wright. But you're right, just a competitive performance, which is what I want. I want to see from West Coast. It's what Eagles fans want to see from West Coast. So, the boys didn't get to sing the song. There's
the 7 players that haven't sung the Eagles song yet. So I was looking forward to it in the rooms to see that atmosphere and to see them bask in that joy together. And that was the key ingredient missing on a quality night of the performance.
And that's tough, but I think a lot of fans are going to walk away feeling pretty positive about that game because the effort was there, the tackle pressure was there, the contested ball was there. They won contested ball after that record low the week prior against Carlton. So much to enjoy from that game from an Eagles perspective, and it gives them a platform, I think, to build from.
Now, I haven't seen 46,000 fans stand and applaud a losing effort in a home and away game before, so that was a bit surreal. Minnie said post-game that he spent a lot of the week focusing on team defence, and that was quite evident. So they allowed Essendon to have, 85 uncontested marks. So as a point of reference, Brisbane had 139. So they really tried to tighten up. Bombers love using it short. I think one of the top-rated teams for doing so, and they plugged those holes so dramatically. And when you have pressure around the ball and can have team defence set up that way, they attacked on turnover really effectively.
Yeah, and there were big standout moments in that way. I think the way that they pressed the Bombers and took away those short kicks, but then just the contest efforts. I think of Brady Hoff on the wing and winning that contested ball, some big punches in the air. I think of Jack Hutchinson crashing in for tackles. It was a quiet game disposal-wise for him, but I thought the pressure he brought really set a standard. Then
Harley was the same. Harley started just with a great aggressive nature on defence, a couple of massive tackles. Cripper really enjoyed this one and got behind him as well. So they were all setting the tone early.
Yeah, and it was controlled aggression from Harley too, wasn't it? We know that that's the type of player he is. He's right on the line, but I thought he just went to the line with his aggression and set a bit of a standard in that way. And Archer Reid chased down tackle in the midfield as well. So plenty of moments there, I think, for Andrew McQualter to show the boys in the review and get them really feeling good about themselves.
Archer and Zach Reid line up at each other for a couple of contests. That was quality to watch from the family in the stands as well.
I thought there might be a little bump, when the ball was about to be bounced, but very friendly from the brothers.
Too friendly?
A little handshake and then a little tangle, but they were straight into it.
Jake Waterman, 4 goals in the opening quarter. He went on 6PR last week following the Blues game. He missed a couple of set shots, was flat on himself, said he would spend extra time on the track to right the wrong, and boy, was that evident from the get-go as well.
It was a massive first term and great leadership, I thought, from Jake Waterman to show the team what's required when you may be just off your game, and he came back and was outstanding. And he had the matchup on Ben McKay, who might have been the tougher matchup, but he absolutely forced a change there from the Bombers. Jordan Ridley, probably a better matchup in the end for Jake Waterman and did the job in the last 3 quarters. But those 4 goals in the first term, I don't think an Eagle's done that since Jack Darling, which is a massive effort from one of the leaders at the club.
He would have liked a few more in the night, but was involved in 4 more scoring attempts or scoring involvements throughout the game, so kept busy. I was thrilled to see Gov got through 90% of the game, so it seems to be that adductor is fine, and his 11 touches in the first term was just an absolute standard Gov brick wall game back there. Elijah Hewitt, he's had a quiet first half. He's followed up with 17 of his 22 disposals in the second half, 12 contested. His burst through stoppage is just one of his best attributes. His balance here in this clip where he's running backwards at full pace and gives a perfect handball, but just to a teammate with an opponent on his trail. It was the first time he'd played a game exclusively on ball, so no forward rotation. and really got to showcase what fans have been salivating at the thought of Elijah Hewitt.
I reckon this was the story of the game from a West Coast performance, the Elijah Hewitt game and probably just the Elijah Hewitt second half. So we know the issues that he's had. We know the foot issues that wiped out his 2024 and a bit of a slow start to this year, but to come in and show that explosiveness that he can bring to the midfield, I reckon he's the guy that can transform things in there because Harley, he does need someone alongside him that's going to play that type of game, that explosiveness and give the opposition someone else to worry about and not just be able to sit on Harley. So it was a massive positive from a West Coast point of view to see him bring that. And a week later, from a concerning midfield performance, suddenly we're looking at West Coast a little bit differently.
So he's kicked 2 goals on the night, almost 3, 1 touched on the line. I think he was 4 goals, 10 entering the game. Probably the best celebrator in the West Coast Eagles team. He's gone to give one of his best ones. Fox on the replay didn't give us 2 angles. Instead, they thought this is the best time to pot us for the banner. So come on, Fox, give us a spell and show Huey getting up and about and getting the crowd involved.
And it's part of the game, isn't it? The Hewitt celebration and what that can do for teammates because we haven't seen much of it from West Coast and we want to see more of it and the way that they can get their teammates up and he can do that.
For all the Eagles fans out there, whether you're keen to jump on a team charter flight with the players or upgrade to some premium seating for our next home Optus game, eagleshospitality.com.au is where you can find all that information. They also have major packages to events like the AFL Grand Final, the Australian Open, Boxing Day Test, so check them out if you're keen. And also, if you're a reserve-seated member, you can win 4 tickets to the John Worsfold Medal just by ensuring that your seats are filled. It's that easy. All you need to do to enter is just go yourself to a game or transfer your tickets to a family member or a friend. Let's make sure Optus Stadium is packed with a sea of blue and gold, and we cheer home the boys for their first win on home soil for 2025. So the umpire's waiting for Matty Flynn here. The big fella going down. I think that's for a quadruple knot. So maybe invest in some shorter shoelaces from the big fella. But
maybe some Velcros.
Possibly. But can this be exploited? If you haven't got your midfield set up just right, can you just throw your boot off as the ruckman and go, oh, hang on, I'm not quite right? Because this doesn't work for any other player on ground.
No, especially if you're in West Coast position, you may be trying to get some players back. You're trying to plug those holes against Essendon. Just, undo the knot.
All right, Liam Ryan, is this the most blatant throw you've possibly ever seen not called on an AFL field?
I saw some from the Bulldogs over the weekend, so maybe not, but it was pretty blatant, and I reckon Liam Ryan knew what he'd done as well.
All right, a couple of boys you're thrilled to see get up from a contest that made you a bit nervous on the weekend.
Harry Edwards. So I'm glad he had this moment. He put his body on the line, right on the goal line, hit the post, and it was a tough day for him against Peter Wright, but glad to see him have this moment, putting his body on the line and very glad to see him get up.
He's actually been involved in 2 back-to-back touched ball goals that have been reviewed, gone his way. What a streak. If that goes to 3, that'd be pretty freaky, I would have thought.
It would be. So we'll see how he goes this weekend and see if he can just keep putting his body on the line like that.
And Liam Ryan, the other one, this tunnelling effort, that had shades of the Dockers game from a couple of years ago when the hammy went. Almost same spot on the ground at Optus. Yeah. Don't want to see your high flyers getting sort of pushed under the ball. And when Liam gets that high, the results could be a bit catastrophic.
Always a nervous moment when someone's tunnelled and especially someone who gets up like Flying Ryan.
No good in the waffle this week, Schmookie. They played Perth, who are a much improved Perth from previous years. You've had 16 AFL-listed players take the field, but unable to get their first win of 2025. So the fact that there's 16, the availability is on fire at the moment. So it's just Chesser and Yo, who are about a month away from getting back, and then Dom Sheed, who's season, of course. And Cal Jamison's a week away, so he's set to play his first game in the waffle for almost a year. So great news for the big fella, another key defending pillar.
Yep, and that availability that you mentioned, that's massive because that's something that we know at West Coast as a club. They've sort of been used to not having that. So that's huge. A couple of guys I'm really hoping can come into the team soon. Luca Grego to make that midfield impact. I think it's going to be a common theme. We're going to want to see these young players filtering through the team. Tom Gross was a sub. I really hope he can get back into the 22 and show what he's got because we've seen some really bright signs from him. And Bo Allen has had that illness interruption. So if he can get into the team as soon as possible, I think we're going to start seeing some more positive signs from a West Coast point of view.
All right, so we've got the Hawthorn game next week. It's many moons away now. It's the final game of Sunday afternoon on Fox. What are you to expect?
Well, I mean, we're going to see how the Hawks go, but they've stumbled a little bit, didn't they, against Port Adelaide? So, yeah, they're a good team. They're a really good team, and I just want to see the same sort of competitiveness from a West Coast point of view, no matter who the opposition is. I think the big decision's going to be with the tools, isn't it? We've got Oscar Allen coming back into the team. Andrew McQualter declared that in his post-match press conference. So I think big decision for West Coast to make as far as how tall do they go in that forward line. I think you probably have to lose one. So is it a case of managing Archer Reid or Jack Williams, who, especially Jack Williams on the weekend on Friday night rather, showed some really positive signs with his goal kicking, with his competitiveness, with what he could do in the ruck. So that's going to be a big decision. And then do you move someone back? Does Oscar play back like he had before and change things up in that part of the ground?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting watch, no doubt, as the week goes on. And finally, to finish up, I wanted to highlight something from the Blues game that caught my eye. It was earlier on the Friday. Here's all the boys singing the winning team song, and they got their kids involved. But this kid, so Blake Acres, young child, not happy whatsoever. I just want a word with the youngster, all right? These wins are fleeting. You never know when your next one's coming, Schmooky. Take it from me. In the words of Billy Madison, you got to cherish it. I hope that they can improve and find out that winning ain't so bad. Chin up. Enjoy it as best you can.
Yeah, young fella was not enjoying that, but a shout out to Jack Silvani. Just went for the foot tickle, which as a father of three, I find the foot tickle, if you can go to that in tough times, it's a really big move. And Jack tried that on, didn't work on the young fella, but good on him.
Great trade secrets. Schmooky, thanks for joining us. Go and enjoy some hot cross buns. It's a Monday public holiday. You're working here with me. Appreciate it. Go and enjoy yourself with the family and appreciate your company.
Good on you, Thumper.